All right, we're back. Now, I think it's something that we all kind of understand, but we take for granted. But beginnings are fragile things. One of my favorite authors said that, Frank Herbert. For those of you that don't know him, but you should know, given his popularity, Frank Herbert is the author of many of the Dune books in a long line of series that his son eventually took over and did not do as well. But Frank Herbert was one of the earliest forays into sci-fi that really changed my outlook and really gave me that bug of reading and absorbing knowledge, and which eventually led me to you know actually writing my own book back there. But one of the things, and the book is littered with quotes. It's about beginnings are fragile things, and the pursuit of happiness and how we sort of look at that in America, how that becomes an intrinsic sort of thought, an intrinsic sort of idea that we hold that truth to be. The problem is, right? We've taken that and we've meant that to all aspects of our lives. We believe that we're supposed to be happy in every single aspect of our lives. Yet it doesn't seem like men have gotten that message. We're behind on that eight ball in enormous ways. One of the first things I said on this channel is that we could learn a lot from women's game, the way women will prioritize their happiness, because this is for all we know, the only spin around, this universe that we get. It's right now, it's right here. But many of us as men, we have confused the idea of masculinity with sacrifice. We think that's what it means, that if you are not fighting for something, then it isn't worth it or you aren't doing your part. But the simplest thing you can do is you're supposed to fight. And we've gotten that lesson time and time. I've gotten that lesson time and time again from old football coaches who said, you got to fight. Right? You're on the line, you're on the line of scrimmage. You got to fight. We get that. Right? You get that. In the physical sense, we understand that. We don't really understand it, or we are coming to terms with that in terms of emotionally, when you have to fight for something that you feel you should be intrinsically part of. A lot of times that comes down to, families. That comes down to children. That comes down to being there for your child. We right now in our sort of society made it customary to say he should have fought more. He should have fought for custody. He should have fought more for visitation. And the question that I think we're beginning to ask is, why is it a fight? If we're looking and we both understand that what we're doing should be in the best interest of the child, why are we fighting? Why are we trying to, in a fight, like a game, there's always a winner and a loser. Why is it a zero sum game when we're trying to say what's best interest of this child that we made? Now I get it. We're dumbing it down. We're removing a lot of the pain, a lot of the pain points, a lot of that sauce. We're taking out of the equation. We're making it seem like it's just a simple thing. It's just a simple binary, input this, turn this, and this what you get. We're not, I think we're nuanced enough to understand that there comes a multitude of issues, a multitude of things that can go wrong, a multitude of things that hurt. And when that pain is there, the first thing that we usually want to do is, ironically, share it, rather than saying that this is something that we should be protecting one ourselves from. I'm hurt because of your actions. Then in turn, I think I'm going to hurt you, thinking that this somehow alleviates this, thinking that somehow this makes things fair. It never does. Right? It never does. It simply continues to make things hurt. And then when we are not considerate of the lives that we are affecting when we do this, in our quest to play who is the hurtist, who deserves to be hurt the most, we end up looking at the child or that we made and we saying, oh, we should not be hurting this one. But because most things take time to develop, most things take time to see the effects of, you don't see the effects of that until the child is an adult, until the child has the problems that we associate with poor upbringing. But then it's too late. My father once said, he was very fond of a lot of sayings, and being a Nigerian man, being very much stoic in some things and hard nosed on others. He said, once that child is 7, that's about it. Right? That's about it. That's the personality. That's the way the child is going to be. Call it quits. You've done that core of the personality is right there. Now the question is, did you do a good enough job to be able to steer this in the direction that needs to go? I watched a clip with Mace was saying, with when it comes to children, you're on my plan until you are able to voice your own plan. And I like that. And I had that very same conversation with my father when I told him that, hey, I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to pursue something else. And it took a while before he realized I've steered this boy in the right direction where, yeah, I can trust in what he's saying. It's not to say that it wasn't a tough conversation, right? But my mom, she was a lot more understanding of that. It was like, you got sense, right? You got sense. And it worked out. But I understand a lot of people don't grow up in those scenarios where you have the luxury of two parents that even if that the marriage isn't strong, that they do understand that the name of the game is the kids. It's an unfortunate but a very, very real thing. So when we're hurt, and then we're going to seek happiness. We're going to seek, all right, this is the antithesis of this. This is how I will stop the pain. I will stop the hurt. I will go seek my happiness. I will go find that. But what happens, right? When you pursue your happiness, we look at it in society in a multitude of ways. In multitude of ways, we understand it. We say it's fine. We get it. That's what you're supposed to do. We make allowances for it. We understand, okay, leave that job. You left the corporate job because it was making you unhappy. We get it. Okay, good. You stayed in this, you left this unhealthy relationship because it was making you unhappy. You left this marriage of 20 years because he was not making you happy. We look at it and say, okay, good. You say, I don't want custody of my kids because I'm not happy. Not so good, right? We're going to explore a little bit more of that later on. But for now, thank you for joining the live stream, especially those who are going to catch it on the replay gang. Shout out to you guys, everyone that does make it in the beginning stream, my friends, my family. I appreciate you guys as always. You guys mean the world to me and keep me sane so I don't lose my mind. And you guys all probably had conversations with me about me being obsessive over data, overlooking and saying, how can we implement this and change this strategy and make this better? Right? Rather than, I think you all collectively have said, yo, chill, let it marinate. It needs time. Right. But keep doing the work. You're doing a good job. Let it marinate. It needs time. Okay. I get it. 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 But all the same, we're here for another live stream. And as usual, I built out the show and then I rebuilt the show. I wanted to be a little, more heinous, a little more funny, a little more like, what the, right? A little reward. I think these should be, that's the name of the game. That's the goal of these, to be kind of a reward, right? Kind of just like, hey, I'm having a good time. Let's all also have a good time, right? Let me see if I can get my siblings on it. Yeah. So what we want to do is use these as just like, just a time to relax, right? A time to let your hair down, have some fun. We're doing it on Wednesday because we usually have done it on Wednesday. I'm going to try and also do one closer towards the weekend, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I might be a responsible adult and put those things out early enough. So as usual, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. The name of the game, pin comment is, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow and we're trying to use this as one of the avenues for that. So as usual, we talk about what went right with the channel. What was the most popular thing, most popular video for the week? And right now it looks like the video of a man talking about most men are criminals because women like criminals, right? My guy, my brother's here. Right. Listen, good. Because every time I include some videos specifically for you, right? And when you don't show up, you're like, damn. Not like he didn't give me the most adorable niece on the planet, so that's all is forgiven. But so we try to build this and try to be like have some fun with it. But again, the most popular one on this week was about Pookies and Ray Rays, right? That men are criminals because women like criminals, and it's hyperbolic, but there's an element of truth in there that we often ignore. We often try to play around like it's not true. Women kind of set the tempo, and especially when it comes down to relationships. You get to decide how much effort we are going to put in. If you say, "Hey, I only like climbers. I don't like ice climbers," right? Well, then I'm gonna pop out the NES. I'm gonna brush up on ice climbers. Only like guys that play chess. Well, we be playing chess. But you like the athletes, you like the rappers. There's an element of that that makes it enticing. We want your attention. It's not we're not being shameful in saying that. If anyone can't say that, shame on you. But we want the female gaze. We want your attention on us. It's one of the reasons why a lot of us first get into the gym. I got into the gym. This is being honest. First time I got consistent in the gym because I wanted to look good naked. That's the most honest thing I said to myself at 22 years old. That got me consistent right there. When, oh, you're doing it for your heart health. I didn't care one bit heart health, right? That wasn't a thing at all. No, I want to look good naked. This was years ago, but years later, the most dynamic, the most on point scene was when was it Ryan Gosling? Someone could tell me the name of the movie. And Emma Stone, when he took off his shirt and she was like, she was just amazed, she thought he was photoshopped. That's what a lot of us just want. We want that reaction. All right. We don't so when you're honest with yourself, you can probably get more consistent results. This is just a natural thing. Women kind of set the tempo. So when we see there's a clear element of, hey, you kind of like the bad boys, right? You like the Lorenzo Lamas, you like the renegades, you like the guy on a bike, right? You like the guy moving the guy who has no regard, who's saying whatever he wants on his mind. And then we're like, maybe I need to be like that. Maybe that's the case. There's a large subset of us that admittedly don't think enough about our own desires and things that we're interested in, and we simply co-opt what society says. We do those things because we think it's going to get us attention. Yes, maybe later on in your life, decades later, you realize I'm unhappy, I followed the path that was never meant for me. But until then, yeah, you like the criminals. Right? Yeah, the criminals are cool, right? We see it. We tried it. We were there on the other side, like, nah, man, I wanted to be like that. But thankfully, I had a whole family said, that's obviously not who you are. That's not what you're supposed to do. So I was the one playing Yu-Gi-Oh, playing chess, right? I'm still athletic, still all those things, but I knew I was intellectual, right? Played a little football because my brother was playing football and my mom was worried about CT in his head and came to me and said, I don't think you should play anymore because your brain is too important. All right, mom, you got it. Cool. Right. But that's our dynamic. The point is, women set the standard. If you want criminals, you're gonna get some criminals. Yeah. That's a natural thing. But again, we got some show, right? We got some show. And if you are here, grab your wine, grab your popcorn, take it easy for the next hour and change. We're gonna have a little talky talk. I want to say, to be fair, and this is as honest as it can be for you. Brace yourselves, right? Brace yourselves. All right. This is again giving you guys fair warning, being as nice as possible. I don't want to hear anyone
No.
complaining.
Wait.
Right?
Wait.
Shout out to Marissa, who I was talking to for like 2 hours this morning, and we were going back and forth, and a lot of topics came to my mind. Blair has been a font of sort of that inspiration, Travaris as well. That just talking and things kind of break loose, and I have, okay, that would be a great topic, especially when I find myself end up running my mouth for 20, 30 minutes on end, and so that would be a great topic. I've realized I'm naturally not a yapper. I'm very good with solitude and being by myself and creating content in those small bursts, saving that, editing that. So the thought of sometimes just setting up a live stream and just yapping nonstop, it's a little daunting. It's a little daunting for me. But we do daunting things all the time, right? We rise up, to challenges, and we say we can get some stuff done. But there's some lines you're not supposed to cross. right? There's some lines of love you're not supposed to cross. Some things that we understand is absolutely taboo, and you leave it alone. You're not supposed to try that. You're not supposed to do that. Yet the world is vast. The world is vast, and love is complicated, and people sometimes try things that is wrong. And luckily, we have society that quickly turns around and does and tries to do the right thing.
I'm sorry, I don't know how you react to this. I'm your mom and you're my son, and I am falling in love with him. He said, "Are you really?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "You know what? I was scared to let you know too. I am too." He was too, falling in love with me, with his mom, and I was falling in love with my son. And then we ended up talking, and we took off to the park, and we ended up asked him, "Will you ever date your mom?" And he said, "Will you date your son?" I said, "Honest truth, yes, I would." Because 19 years.
Now, before you start, right? Before you start with questions, I looked this up. Right? I did some fact checking. I looked a few things up. This is a real story.
You're the best thing that ever happened to me, and I really want to be with you the rest of my life. And I really want to be with them. It's kind of hard right now, but I don't care what people say, because we're going through a lot right now. We try to keep it a secret, but we couldn't do it no more, because my other kids found out. At first they didn't like it. Then they started liking it. They're accepting it. And my mom, my dad, my brothers, my family's accepting it now. This girl found out. She lives across the street from me, and there's a big old fight started. And she called me. She told my son Joseph something and let me know across the street. And she told me I better watch my back, because I'm being incest. I'm not being incest. And she was outside cussing me out, so I went and go get everybody out of my house, and she got her family. We got stabbed, beaten up, jumped. Ambulance showed up. It was me, Carlos, and the kid's uncle got stabbed because the incest. Because she made a big deal out of all of this.
Like, you never want to hear about someone getting stabbed and hurt and attacked, but at some point you're like, I can kind of see why they did that. I can see it being like, yo, this is a weird thing. This is kind of crazy. Why are you guys doing this? Right? Why are you guys doing this? Why is this okay? What about your son that you changed and you raised, that you looked and said, yeah, this should be a great idea, right? On the banners distracting. All right, let me see what I can do about the banners. Boop and boop. All right, let's see if that's better for you. So yeah, it's absolutely illegal, right? it's love is love, right? Sounds good, right? Listen, we Mike, we do this on the vertical stream just because it gets a better push. We tried the horizontal stream, which is really just great for subscribers, but if people don't show up in the stream, we're making little tests back and forth. It may help just holding it horizontal on your phone. That way you get a little bigger image. Yeah. So if you saw your neighbor engaging in this sort of behavior, would you go and be like, I gotta stab you? Would you think that would solve the thing? If we got to put an end to this, so stabby stab, we can get this done, we get this taken care of. I don't know. I don't know.
So we went to the hospital, we got stitches, came back home, and on that side, her family didn't get arrested at all. So I don't know why nobody didn't get arrested at the time. So we came back home, took a shower. The cops took, first the cops at the hospital, the cops took pictures of where we got cut, sliced. And after that, we came home, took a shower and stuff.
Slice and dicing. Yeah, show me nasty. That's a deep cut.
Then we sit back, and I broke down crying. I told Carlos, what we're going to do is going to hit all over the world. I said, there ain't no way I can leave you. And he said, don't worry. I'm going to still be with you, no matter through thick and thin. And that's what we're going through right now. Through the thick. And I'm going to still be with him. I have to. I'm going to have to, because
Now, admittedly, right? Admittedly, there really hasn't been a lot of thought I've ever put into incest. And I'm gonna go on a limb and think the same thing for you guys. You guys probably never really put a lot of thought into that. You just knew your mom was your mom, and you didn't have any sexual sort of inclination towards her. What are the odds that both you, the son, and your mom both had whatever thing for each other at the same time? What made that okay, right? Especially in the wide world of most other people you are not related to that you could simply have fun and engage with. Um, yeah, we like to make fun about this, that this is all Alabama, this is all Alabama up and down, and kissing cousins. But New Mexico, again, they're eventually prosecuted for this, but of all the things to get arrested for,
there no, if I get out of prison, and if he don't get sentenced, if I get in prison, if I get out, I will move out of Clovis and I will get a state that will accept us in it. I've been going through a lot on the streets and in public, and it's kind of hard because it's public record here in Clovis. They can find out where I live and stuff, and this is going through a lot, and I really can't go to the store. I can't go public. I can't see my other kids. I can't see him. They call me I'm sick. I'm incest, and it hurts a lot. And you know what I mean? It messes with my mind a lot. The other moms don't understand. They're not going through what I'm going through. It'd be different if they were.
I don't know if there's a community for that, but most moms not going to go through that. We can't really empathize with what's happening to you. We can choose to simply study you. Might be helpful, but yeah, she definitely needs mental health. Stabbing, killing, that none of that is actually helpful. And if we want to get scientific and a little into the weeds on it, the chances of it occurring both within the same family, within the same subset, with the same group, you would think that one, there would be a nature component of this, that there's a genetic thing that should have been switched off or was switched on, maybe something like that. But when you don't see that same anomaly in the other kids, and without knowing if it's the same sort of parents, we don't really have enough of a sample size or group to look at. So we can look and say, maybe it's a nurture thing. Maybe the way you parented him was different. But the thought would be, it would probably have to start earlier on. And where would you show any sexual interest to a child when you were changing and rearing? And it's a convoluted thing that I would love to sit in and just listen to as they were hopefully treated. But like I said, this is a wild one. And outside of it just being, mother and son, we talk about there's an age gap, right? There's an age gap. And I guess this love and money is about strange love and money, or disparate, different love and money. So age gap becomes a thing. And the way we usually, the way we typically think about it is an older man, a younger woman. We understand the dynamics of that, even though we are sometimes vocal about not liking it. The man has resources. He has time. He has his time and experience to make himself a better financial resource laden choice. Rather than me at 25, her at 25, I've got nothing but ambition, potential, and a young back, right? And an inarticulate stroke game that hopefully I can entice her with. Outside of those things, I don't really have much to give her. I don't have much to say, hey, come over to me over here. Here he is in his vehicles, in his townhouses, in his condos. He's got all the leverage. He can press all the pain points. I can't do anything about that. We get that. But when we flip it, when there's an older woman and there's a younger man, this is sometimes when we pause and we say, but I don't understand it. And then we have extremes.
Everyone is wired their own way, and some people are wired towards blondes, brunettes, big women, skinny women, various ethnicities. I'm wired towards older women.
Babyface Kyle Jones has never dated a woman his own age. preferring relationships with ladies more than twice as old as him. The 31-year-old, who lives in Pittsburgh, regularly romances grandmas in their 70s, 80s and even 90s.
When I first met Kyle, quite thrilled. It's very flattering to have a younger guy chase you, and he was very nice.
Now, everyone in the chat, or the people that I know in the chat, their moms. Me and my brother's mom, right? Could you guys see this? What if a young 30-year-old came, you say, I'm here to spend time with your mom. Would you then stab someone? Would then that be warranted? I'm asking for a friend. I know I'm stabbing someone.
Sometimes I feel like he's another son. Till we hop in bed, then I feel different.
But while his unusual taste in women is too extreme for most, Kyle takes a different view.
People don't like to think of their parents or grandparents having sex, or they just don't do that. Yes, they do, and some of them have with me. It's funny, the things that they're self-conscious about is what I'm into. I like lines. I like the neck feature. You know, women worry about their boobs sagging. I think the natural hang looks great. I'm a fan of platinum hair. I mean, I don't like to say gray, I like to say platinum. I'm a fan of platinum hair.
Most controversial is Kyle's long-term relationship with 91-year-old great-grandmother Marjorie McCall, who he met in 2009.
He came in where I work to buy something and obtained my phone number, gave me his, and then every day he talked to me on the phone until we finally went out. It makes you feel wonderful. Dating somebody younger than you makes you feel like you're alive again. The physics.
Now, is he in the right for moving like this, or is this abhorrent? Should someone come and say, yo, you can't do this? To be arrested for behavior like this, or we just gotta accept, like, yo, this makes sense. This is fine. This is the way it's supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with this. Is this another, this is love is love. Is it love is love until it's your grandma, it's your mom, until he's walking in the door and saying with flowers and saying, that's my Valentine. We're going to have a good old time. And also, if you see a sock on the door, the doorknob, don't bother. Don't bother. In fact, it's a little, walking around money. Why don't you get lost while they entertain your mom? Now, he's got to clean up, right? The competition level's got to be low. Right? This has got to be fine.
The side of a relationship is wonderful. I amaze myself, he amazes me. And I like it. Yeah. Nothing better.
It's good to be back. Very good to be back.
But with no immediate plans to settle down, Kyle isn't monogamous and enjoys dating several women at the same time.
It's nice to see you.
He met 68-year-old great-grandmother Anna 2 years ago on a dating website.
When he first contacted me, I did question his motives because I was twice his age. We had dinner. I liked him. I felt at ease with him, so I started seeing him. He's very attentive to you, and he just makes you feel good.
But despite his success with mature women, Kyle does come up against opposition.
I have encountered people sometimes that are critical of what I do. But I mean, the most common is I'm a vulture. You're after money, you're after inheritance. I hear that all the time. It's not true at all. I do this because I like it, and they like it too. I offer older women a different experience than they normally used to, as opposed to them dating some tired old dead guy.
It sounds good.
Listen, right? If we're being fair and not being judgmental, then this makes sense, right? If we're looking and saying that when men do it, it's okay, or we push back when women complain about it, then this is also too fine, right? We got to be fair. We got to be let love be love, and just kind of let this happen. What we're more used to is the younger, or the resource-driven sort of relationships, the sugar babies. We're so used to that. What we never really see, where we always end up questioning whether or not these relationships also have any real merit. Can you start out, right? Again, beginnings are tricky things. Can you start out with a relationship that is all sugar? Can you transform that into a real thing? I'm curious.
People think she's using me for my money.
I like nice things. He likes getting them for me.
She popped up on Facebook and her picture grabbed my attention. I sent her a message and basically said, like, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
So why did you offer Bethany $50 for her number?
At that point in my life, I had just started my career. I didn't really know what I had to offer other than money, so that's what I went with.
I think for the first 6 years of us talking to each other, we weren't dating, we were both single. He catered to everything that I wanted and I needed, would you say?
Yeah, I sent you whatever you needed.
So like hairstyles, nails, things for school, stuff like that. He just made sure I was good.
Over the past 6 years, I've sent Bethany about $100,000 in Cash App transactions and gifts.
When I saw this earlier, I did the math. That's about $16,667 a year. And this is just, you saying Cash App. I'm sure there's other avenues in which you sent money. And she's very clear. Before we even met, you were sending her money. Now, as consenting adults, this is I understand the knee-jerk reactions to look at this and say, yo, this is wrong, this is messed up, you shouldn't be doing this. But if they're all sort of okay with it, what are we supposed to think? What are we supposed to do? Why would we look at this and say this is something sort of bad? This is just kind of the game. It's kind of one of the things you got to look and say, all right, if you like it, I love it. And I know it's easy for us, and we can get in a little bit more about how one of the pushbacks, one of the things that we grab about in terms of OnlyFans and that sort of ilk is the easy access to a lot of, desperate men's money. We don't have any system in place to sort of protect these men. Like, we look at it in terms of gambling. If you have an addiction, we have hotlines for you to call. We recognize the addiction to corn in certain ways. We don't recognize it in the larger sense that there should be preventative measures out or treatments to direct people who maybe are comfortable sending obscene amounts of money towards someone who may or may not ever meet them, who may or may not even care for them. But maybe this is one of those stories where things work out that, hey, like they're saying, we were together for such a long time, and I know the footage, the way they got her posing with the money does not help the case. I don't think she's ever going to beat those allegations. I don't think that he was ever the only one. But at what point do you sit there and, is it our responsibility to crush someone's delusions? If this is how you think it's supposed to be, then this is how you think it's supposed to be. What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to correct this? Are we supposed to come and say, hey, I don't think this is real. I think you could be doing better. I think you'd be better served with someone else. Or we simply accept it and say, yo, dog, I wish you the best. I kind of wish you the best. Right? Yeah. How about he label her as a groomer? Yeah, she does her own child. Yeah, I like that. I like that. But we don't really call that term groomers typically reserved for men. Even what you see the uptick, and I'm sure you've all noticed the uptick of teachers sleeping with students of 12 to 14, 15 years old. We've seen that uptick, right? And we can get into a little bit of that. You've seen that uptick. And we're looking at it, and even when each one happens, we still don't do the thing where we now push this out to all, white women. We don't push this out to all white people and say, you guys are statistically, guys tend to be more predators. We don't look at that. We still give them grace. We still say it's this isolated too. Maybe it's a function of the oppressed. Maybe it's a function of oppressed realizing that you are not the sum total or the worst total of your race. You're you and an individual. We sort of give that same sort of grace. But it becomes concerning when you see a lot of these women and they're not ugly. Right? They may not be supermodel looks, but they're not ugly. Some of them are already married. Some of them, you walk into, hey, there we go. The family here. It's a family affair, right? So some of them, they walk into sort of you walk into this relationship and they're married. They've got people that care about them, and they're still looking and saying, "This is what it is. It's cool." One of the gentlemen, he came back home and saw his wife in bed with a youth. Called the cops. Cops came and said, "Wait a second, wait a second, you gotta go." She called the cops on him because he's flipping out, which makes sense. Well, yo, you gotta get out of here. You gotta get up out of here. That's a rough deal, right? Ramsey nightmares. Someone send me a message. Remind me to do that.
At the beginning of this, it was truly just transactional. I was just very young and like just excited that a man was like willing to spend his money on me. Just knowing that I would always be okay. That was number one. Seeing who he is, not just the guy that sends me money, but like the guy that loves Harry Potter and the guy that likes the Star Wars. Seeing that he has a good personality and he's very kind and patient with me, it was very easy to catch feelings for him.
The guy that likes the Star Wars. As a guy that likes the Star Wars, whenever I'm talking about Star Wars and someone says the guy that likes the Star Wars, stop it. Right? Stop it. As long as that money's being funneled, then it's all good. But we understand that. I want to stand on business, say, hey, I'm not going to hate the game. This is just how people are choosing to play it. As long as he's well aware that the money he's donated to her, that this relationship, is probably dependent on, as long as that money is still flowing in the right direction, more power to him. If he understands he's renting it, he's renting his happiness, I can't really fault him. In a society in which we do not prioritize our happiness enough as men. We do not go out there looking and trying to find it, trying to cultivate it. If he wants to buy it from a small modicum of time, let him have it, right? Let him have it. But our next segment is our absolute favorite game show. You guys know I love it. I think that, what was the name? Something, it had something to do with the truth. But yeah, I think it's, why should I still remain in a committed relationship is too long of a title to go with.
You find it difficult to fight the urge to cheat on your wife? Don't. Jocelyn, you want to hear this answer?
Oh, God. Yes.
Yes.
True.
In the past year, have you shared a hotel room with a woman other than your wife?
Yes. True.
To be fair, I don't think the crowd helps it at all. Like, I mean, I would be absolutely doing the same thing in the crowd with that would be me. I think it helps the tension, it helps the ridiculousness of it. So just key on to that.
Is there a woman besides your wife that you have sexual relations with on a regular basis?
You see her face?
Let me read it again. You may have just taken him away from an easy no answer.
So listen, so that's his best friend. I think that's his best friend who, and if you're not familiar with the game, when they ask the question, you can ring the bell and it will stop them from having to answer the question. They then swap out a new question and anything along that line of questioning is gone. So, Blair, as my best friend, I'd fully expect you to hit that, right? I'd fully expect to hit that button, like immediately. No. But my siblings, I expect you guys to sit in there just, just judging me for my actions.
But, John, friends are friends. You jumped up, you hit the button. We will not go further into that question. The question was, is there a woman besides your wife that you have sexual relations with on a regular basis? That is definitely a present tense question, but you cannot answer it at this point. John, why'd you hit the button?
Looked a little tense.
You looked a little tense.
Looked a little uneasy.
Yes. I have a feeling that there's going to be some discussion around the kitchen table when we get home.
Oh, most definitely. On the way home.
Damn! Ouch. Okay, John hit the button, which means we replace that question Discussion on that question stops here. You need this one to continue the game. If you can answer it truthfully, you're on your way to $200,000. This is the new question 16. Do you think you deserve to be married to a better woman?
I got a good woman. I got a good woman. Let me tell you, my wife has been there. I haven't been a perfect husband. I haven't been a perfect father. I can explain all the mistakes I made, but if it wasn't for her and my mother, I wouldn't be where I am. So there is no better woman I could have married.
So your answer then is no? Good luck.
That answer is false.
Wait. Listen, to be fair, when I'm selecting a lot of these clips, right, for specifically for the show, I don't watch it till the end. Okay? I just watch to see if it's juicy, right? And I was just as he wanted that answer to be, he wanted it to be right. He wanted it to be right. Listen, again, I fucking love that show. I mean, I would hate to be a participant on it. I would love to be in the crowd at any single time. But again, next week, or we might do the stream later this week. We'll have another episode. We'll have another clip of that. But now it's on to crashing out, which I'm sure she did on the way home. I'm certain she did on the way home.
I'm probably gonna see a specialist. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'ma crash out. Got 100K on my.
All right, we're here crashing out, right? Again, on her way home. I know she's furious. Right? Not only did you embarrass me, you didn't win the money. Anyway, you didn't win the money, so I'm sure like there'll be plenty of people crashing out on the way there. So, but which is normal. Seems like a normal thing for wives to crash out on husbands over small things, big things, little things. But this next thing, you guys can tell me. Right? There's a little audience participation. You can tell me if this is a worthy thing to crash out over.
Whoa, because I don't know what the fuck just happened. I done woke up. Took the wrong phone. I got my phone. Took the wrong phones. I go to my messages because it's early in the morning. I'm getting myself started. I see big bootylicious squirt queen. I see throwback baby. I see booty hole open wide. I see delicious white squirt chocolate. I see big tit dick vibe. I see so much bullshit on recent search bar that it fucked me up. Because why is my husband searching this shit up early in the motherfucking morning? Because he was just in the bathroom for like an hour. So what the fuck was he doing? Sis, is my pussy not hitting right now?
Right. That's listen, he was doing an in-depth search. Because in my 41 years on this planet, I've never heard some of those combinations before. It dawns upon me I'm not using P-Hub the right way. I'm not getting into the weeds like I should be. Right? I'm not on page 59. I'm not trying different combinations, different permutations, or what else could be out there. This is crazy. But, you know, it wouldn't, if you saw that on your significant other's phone, yeah, and her mistakenly grabbing it, right? Mistakenly grabbing his phone, and then seeing the lock screen not being hers, seeing how it does not activate with her face, she still decided, let me check my messages. You could have just said, I was being nosy, I want to check my husband's phone, right? Yeah. All right, listen, Nav, if you have those combinations, email me a list, right? right? Rank them because I'm curious. Right? How did you come to some of those? But again, just in case my mom watches it, we're just gonna move on past that. So would she be in her right mind of sort of cheating, right? Revenge cheating is a thing that sometimes we see a lot of justification on. But he did something wrong and he cheated on you, so you go out, you get your lick back, right? And somehow that makes you guys even, rather than it just makes everyone more sort of just angry and at the entire thing. But what if you preemptively revenge cheat? If I think you're going to cheat on me, can I now cheat on you before? Right? is that a thing? And if it is there a limit of times it can do it? Would you say 1, 2, 15?
You think I cheated with 7 women. However, it was really 15, Eze. Because I feel like
I'm not cheating on you, Deron! I've never cheated on you! 15 women, are you kidding me?
However, then why are you being sneaky with me then?
I'm not being sneaky.
You are, you being sneaky, you being conniving, and you act like a whore.
And we asked her, while in a relationship with Duran, have you had sexual contact with any other man? She answered no, and it came back that Eze told the truth.
I guess you got egg in your face, right? You got eggs in your face. Like, now what do? Hey, I cheated on you with a woman for half the month. One woman each day for half the month. I cheated on you because I knew you were acting weird. So instead of asking you about, hey, what's going on, I decided I'm just going to cheat. I spent half the month, 15 women. Oh, it turns out you didn't cheat. Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. You know what? Don't worry about it. Let's come on. Let's talk about it.
Duran out that door, you could go out with that clown. Or you say, no way am I going to let any man ever treat me like this, and I'm going to go out that door.
He's a good man, Savannah. Why didn't I prepare that clip? He's a good man, Savannah. Listen, realistically, right? We try to hover around there as often as possible. But before that, like the stream, subscribe, share it. I don't know if you can hype it up. If you feel so moved to donate, please. All that matters. But look, this is why sometimes you stay out of people's business. You stay out of people's business. You let them rock. You let them deal with it. You let them come to whatever agreement. You don't know the dynamics was happening. You don't know what that person has been through. You don't know how many times they've done this song and dance. We here on the internet, right, on the interwebs, on Al Gore's internet, we try to think that we understand how relationships are supposed to go. The mildest of inconveniences, leave that man. Leave him. Absolutely. But the real world is very different. It's very nuanced. It's very filled with people that have been hurt, that don't know anything but that. I think that's all they deserve. In that exact moment, there's nothing you can really do outside of highlight that and sort of cut yourself by trying to still be there for the next time and the next time and the next time. Depending on your love or friendship with that person, that's what you may have to do. But sometimes it's best to take a step back and say, you deserve better. I hope one day you realize that, because this is not it. This is not the way it's supposed to be. There's part of us that enjoy the show, part of us that understand that the way you were raised, the way you reason, is not the way everyone else does. For some, when we talk about struggle love, this is what they know. This is what they understand. That it's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be tumultuous. Sometimes it's supposed to be absolutely violent.
Get the fuck up out of here. You tripping, for real. You lying. Get the fuck up out of here.
Problem.
I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, get up out of here. Nah.
So listen, he caught her cheating. She's at the door. This is a Ring doorbell, and she's doing all she can to get inside.
Look, I win you money on pack draw. I give you good money. Look, you make lots of money.
Nah, you can go pay that nigga to fix your wig or something, because that shit fucked up. Get up out of here and leave.
The wig. I need it.
Yeah, nah, you gotta go. See, this is, nah. I'm not gonna go. Where's my dog at? Oh my God. Get up out of here. Leave, for real. You tripping.
I don't know if I've ever saw an actual adult kick their legs back, right? Kick and scream and throw a tantrum on the floor. I don't think I've ever actually saw that. Outside of cartoons and toddlers do it. Not even toddlers. I thought that was just kind of a made up motion that happens. But I looked and I couldn't find the backstory on what this is outside of him catching her cheating and saying, "Yo, I'm good. I'm good on this." What a lot of times that we see, at least on the internet, when men catch women stepping out and doing their thing, and the flip out is often a physical one, right? Sometimes it's like this.
And laying on the floor? Oh, yeah. You rather than keep up out of here. For real. You're wildin'. Leave.
Fuck you. It's okay.
I'm over this. I'm glad it's done for. Leave.
It's like that sometimes, and other times it's property damage.
What the fuck are you doing? Bro, stop. Bro, look at this girl, bro. Look at this, bro. So you gonna just break my shit? So you gonna just break my shit? So you gonna just break my shit? So you gonna break my shit? So you gonna break my shit?
So you're just gonna break my shit? Listen, yes, John Constantine would have a great spell for that, right? Matt Ryan as John Constantine. As much as I love Keanu Reeves as Constantine on, in the movie, I think Matt Ryan he's voiced him so many times in my head it's become synonymous. And they had that one season that I thought was just excellent, and then they, in the infinite wisdom, decided not to consult me, so they didn't make a season 2. And then he did a couple different appearances on like Lucifer, which I was not a fan of that show anyway. But yes, absolutely possessed. Throwing the wig off. When when a woman takes off a wig like that in public, that there's something wrong. There's a demon in there, right? There's a demon of probably accountability in there that she needs to be excised. But we move on. All right, we learn, we move on, we see what we see, and we keep it pushing. Agree or disagree is next. All right, we've been tickling the game, the ball, the stream downfield. So in the hopes of setting up the stream, and I saw a couple of things that I wanted to do, particularly longer reaction videos to, that if I had the opportunity, if I had the time, but as we try to increase the quality, time becomes a little more of a factor, and with all other life constraints, and things happen. But whatever, we persevere. One of the things that I saw was this notion of sometimes you have the old guard, right? And I've said a couple times, we're the old guard. Our notions and how relationships are supposed to be are sort of, they're on the out. They're not out yet, but they're on the out. We defined it that the newer generation is still sort of, rolling with, but they're adding their tweaks into it. But we're in the downward slope. It's about to be their game in probably another 10, 15 years. This is the nature of the beast. This is a nature thing. Time, does what it has to do. You can't stop that. Just like a thought, like we talked about on the last stream. So when the old guard is speaking about how relationships are supposed to go, I think sometimes they are still adhering to very old world principles. Part of you being or extending your time as the ones that set the tone is understanding that a lot of times the newer generation changes things. One of the things they change, and I think for the better, that we also responsible for, is the way that we look at what a man's purpose is on this planet. The old way of thinking was simply say, you're supposed to provide for a family. We didn't look and say, what about a male's happiness? What about a man's happiness? Where does that factor in? What about his purpose? What was he supposed to be on this planet do? If a man never found a wife to be his wife or had kids, does that mean his existence is null, is worth nothing? Or are we supposed to realize, like women, your happiness is also paramount? You should seek out the things that, while keeping the rest of the general public safe, that you don't harm someone else, that your happiness is also intrinsically important, that the universe should care, if it does have an ability to care, about how you look at yourself and how you value yourself in the world. Better yet, in the universe.
I've met a lot of men who want to be in relationships who bring, I've been surprised, they don't like women.
I think that's a lot of men out here don't like women.
I have been surprised because the optimistic, happy me, like, that's not true. But being in counseling, I've seen more men that I'm comfortable with who really have issues with women. They are takers. They want you to make their lives better.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the questions that I would ask if I was a woman, what do you want out of a wife? How are you good for a wife? Right? Successful husbands have something in common. They're givers. So when you ask them about, even before they got married, what do you want to do as a husband? I'm going to make sure she's good. Right? If she's stressed, I'm gonna give her a massage. If she doesn't want to work because she wants to stay home with the kids, or her mom is sick and she wants to focus on that, I want to provide a life where she's good.
So let's try to envision this conversation in a different way, and then you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree when I play the remainder. If you were presupposing that you talk to men prior to becoming husbands, and they gave you that response, I want to find a woman to massage when she is worn down. I want to find a woman to support and make her happy. That's my purpose as for finding a wife. Would you not be concerned? Would you not be concerned and say, these are things that you could possibly do for a woman? But is that enough of a reason for you to say this is why you should tie yourself to someone, because simply you wish to make someone's life better? If we're having an honest conversation, and I hope we are, it's understanding that I want to create something that I cannot do alone. I want to create a family, and in order to do that, I need to find a wife to do it in the most healthy way possible. Understanding or accepting that men also are desirous of something from a woman doesn't necessarily make these men takers. Why can you say that these men are takers and the women are not takers? Why can you only identify in one way? And why, when it's identified in one way, is that way bad? We don't say that it's bad when women say they're taking, because we already have the caveat and understanding that you're going to get something in return for that. Well, I want to take something from you and also provide something from you. I want this equation to be as equitable as possible. What I get from you, from a wife, the way I value that, especially when there's child involved, the way I value that is saying that it's worth this sacrifice. But if you can't even identify that there's something that I receive from this, because that makes me a taker and that makes me bad, then this whole equation is unbalanced. This whole equation makes it seem like your only job is to sit here, find someone, and provide, make that person's life easier. To what end? Because every day life is hard. Life requires more. To what end am I supposed to continue to do something, to provide every day, provide to time immemorial? That doesn't make any sense. And, it's unfortunately in podcasts like this, you don't really get people that sit there and say, wait a second, let me push back on that. What do you mean by that? You're well-meaning, but you're lacking nuance in this, especially when your demographic of people that are responsible for your sales are the opposite gender. When men talk almost exclusively as if men are failing because they're not doing enough or they don't have the desire to become subservient to another person, that something's wrong with them. No, they just understand there's things I want in life. There's things I want in life. If I want a child, if I want a kid, then that's fine for me to say that. It's a fine thing to understand that in order for me to get that, I'm probably going to need a wife. I'm going to need a woman. To my best ability, I have not been able to sexually butt off and have an offspring run around. I have not done that. I have not been able to clone myself. So I'm going to need something from you, and that is going to require a taking. It's going to take your body. It's going to take your resources. It may take your mental health. There's times, depending on your race, it may impact your life. It may take your life. For all that, I understand the sacrifice. This is why I have to front load my value. This is why I have to front load the effort. I get that. I got to prove to you that even when you are at your weakest, at your lowest, at your most vulnerable, I will be there to make sure you are safe. I understand the equation is never supposed to be balanced in that sense. But if I can't even vocalize that there's something I want from it, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? But conversations like this that essentially are, you have to appeal to men. You have to appeal to men. I think this is one of the things those panders, and I'm not necessarily want to throw the moniker on top of him, but when you do not adhere or you do not accept or do not understand that, hey, when you move like this, what ends up happening is men don't really get it. Men don't really understand it. Men don't really accept it. They say, this doesn't make any sense. You have to appeal to men. You have to appeal to men. You have to get them on your side so they understand, hey, what you're saying makes sense for me. This is why I'm buying in. This is why I'm saying, okay, I'll do it. Anytime you had any type of right that you wanted women to have, you needed men to buy. You needed men to come in and vote and say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. We've forgotten that, and we're talking to men as if they're the enemy, as if somehow there's something they're doing wrong. And in order to get them on their side, you don't know what to do. You don't have a solution. You just keep telling men, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more. It doesn't really work anymore.
If she's on the news and everyone knows her, I want to be comfortable with her doing that without me being insecure. I'm going to be there picking her up from the station at 2:00 in the morning. Right. I want her to do her. They're givers.
Yeah.
They want to go in and make life better. They want to be the body that secures the rib. So when they come in, they're like, I'm here. I'm LeBron James. Everything's going to be good. Oh, you want to go on a girls trip? All right, cool. I'll hold it down with the kids because that's what you want to do. I want to make you happy. They want to make women happy. And there's another subset of men who have these toxic backgrounds, right? Did not have access to their moms. I did not have foster care. And that's not saying you're in foster care, but they did not have a good experience where they had mothering. And they don't want women to be more talented than them. They are threatened by women who can speak up and go toe to toe and probably outpoint you in a debate, right? And might be more talented. They don't like that. They want to rule and lord over you, but they still want you to want to be with them.
Now, I don't doubt that this is a conversation that you're having. I don't doubt that you're having people that are afraid of women, are intimidated, are look at some women and say, yeah, you do so well. And there's a function in that jealousy manifests as trying to take you down a peg. I get that. But I think these are two separate conversations. Those men that can, or are those other women's equal that are known to some station, that are known to people. You know, these are probably women of a higher echelon who tend to look for men at the same echelon or better. Those men aren't going to look and say, I'm trying to tear you down. When we have these convoluted conversations and we're trying to prove a point that men need to do better in order for you to see any real sort of movement or real similar change. And it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work out well. It hasn't worked. Pandering to women when you're needing men to change just creates an expectation that men are supposed to change. And then when men don't, you kind of left confused. You kind of left like, well, why aren't things getting better? Because you're not talking to men. You're not addressing men. You're just talking at them. That's my take. So I completely disagree with what he's got to say. Right? It's along the lines of just, also when we talk about how men are supposed to open up to women, men are supposed to show themselves, and men have routinely told you when we've tried that how it's flipped upon, on the nose, and those intimate things, those vulnerable things are thrown in our face. You should kind of tell us to, like, you don't really have a solution. Because again, you're going back to men and saying, while you've explained your hurt and your pain, I'm again telling you, do better.
Once men feel safe to be able to be emotional and open up is when they do it.
I think most men will never feel safe.
What?
I do.
Explain. What do you mean?
I think so many women have weaponized vulnerability that men
I can agree.
won't even dare to go there anymore. Most men, especially black men, most black men never really have the opportunity to be vulnerable. And when they do, it's weaponized against them. Because some woman in their past made them feel like, if I bare my heart to you, you'll stab it. So I ain't never going to bare my heart again.
So he can never be in a relationship then?
No, that's not true. He's in a relationship all the time. He's just emotionally unavailable. And
emotionally unavailable men should not be in a relationship.
I think if they're not willing to learn how to be, if they're not willing to find that safe space, if they're not willing to actually go to the depths, then the truth is it'll probably be a very shallow emotional relationship.
Right. That's so might as well just not even waste your time.
That's not true. Some people love shallow emotional relationships.
I'm glad that's none of us in this room.
Man,
because
some people need to go to the depths. There's something for everybody out here. There's literally something for everybody. And so it's not to say what's right or what's wrong.
So I kind of like some of the points on that point, which is getting at that. Yeah, not that whoever was off asking her question, that some of these men don't deserve to be in relationships, shouldn't be in relationships. No, people in relationships, and they're as healed as they can be. When people engage in some of these relationships, they understand that there's some parts of them that are kind of warded off. You can't really approach because there's been pain, there's been heartache, there's been whatever drama in the past. It's warded off. It's not really fully dealt with, but it's as good as it's probably going to get. As us understanding that men are not as emotional as women, that when they do get hurt emotionally, it does hurt. What we try to make it seem, where we try to pretend as if it's just one single act of pain that has happened at one point in their life. But we don't count the small tries, the small incidents when we're having a conversation and what I'm saying is being completely ignored, or the acts of what I've done in the past is turned on its head and ridiculed or minusculed and made to seem like it's not important. Oh, you did that, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. You don't understand. You don't see the wound, especially if I'm not being demonstrative. I'm not showing you and not telling you that hurt so much. Sometimes when emotions flare, there is a lack of care for those feelings that have been entrusted upon you. When you show that and remember that, and they say, okay, I am literally walking myself down this road, this place to get hurt again. I am deciding that I am going to get hurt again. I'm making the choice. The best thing I can do is understand this and say, no. So even when I do open up and share, when men open up and share to you, there's a level of protection. There's a wall in which they are sharing behind. If you go and have some of these conversations and make it seem like, yeah, these men just aren't, none of that conversation, none of what she shared, none of what she talked about said, shit, yeah, man, women have to become better safe havens for a lot of the truth that men share with them. That. We don't teach that. We don't tell women that this is sort of what you have to do if you want this emotional availability with men. We just make it seem like, yes, men have more work to do. Doesn't matter how emotionally intelligent a man is. It doesn't matter how cultured and understanding he is. If he realizes this is not a safe repository, then he will never open up to you in that way. Forget about it. It's not happening. Absolutely not. You'll never see it. If you don't understand that, there's no real help we can give you for that. This is just the name of the game. If you don't get that, fine, cool. Move on and settle for those emotionally shallow relationships. It's not saying that there can't be connection. You just won't ever be behind that wall. So again, I think it's a very easy concept. It's a very easy thing to throw at men and say, again, you're supposed to be better. You're supposed to do better here, 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 here. Realistically, we understand it's something more, it's something different. You've got to turn around and try to do better. Unless we're both trying to come and say and realize, hey, we both got things to do. We both have that accountability. We both realize we're responsible for our own happiness, that we have to go out here and set and adhere to it and try to make it happen in some sort of fashion, some sort of way. We just kind of be left choosing sides, screaming the same things over and over again. What I've always been a fan of, right, is, what I've been a fan of is when men get to this point, when they feel disrespected, when they feel isolated and feel alone. I always believe the best recourse is simply say, cool, I'm taking my ball, I'm going to walk away. Right? The modern day Marcus Aurelius.
I don't care what nobody says, but the biggest flex that a man has when somebody plays you right to your face is move on with your life. Not crashing out on them, not begging them for anything, not waiting for their explanations. Move on, be out, get better, feel better, put in so much work on yourself that joker just doesn't even matter anymore. Because the worst thing that you can let happen is to let somebody live rent-free in your head. And when they leave, you feel like you lost yourself right along with them. That's a problem, my man. You were a man before you entered into that relationship, whatever it was. You were yours first. And you don't need to be stuck in a bed, staring at a ceiling, replaying conversations over somebody who never really mattered in the first place. That time is done. What you need to do, and excuse me for putting it like this, is grab your sack, stand up, start over again, stop feeling bad for yourself, and move on.
This I completely agree with. This is at the crux of when we talk about how men are supposed to get better. Sometimes in that interim, and by sometimes I mean those sometimes maybe months, maybe years, but crashing out like you do shows a lack of emotional control. It shows that you don't know what you should be doing. You don't know how to deal, how to process. It's easier, and we've said this here several times, it's easier to process anger rather than it's to process any other pain outside of some pleasure or some sort of happiness. Anger is the easiest thing for me to demonstrate. So what happens most of the time? Yeah, you end up seeing men crashing out. Problem is when men crash out, it tends to get violent. And they aren't looking for other men of the same sort of caliber. They're not looking to be violent with other men outside of bringing a weapon to that. And if it's over something that she did or perceived to do, reason why I cheated 15 times with 15 different women, yeah, things can get violent right there and get very, life-threatening for her. So the best bet is always to walk away, always to say, this ain't for me, this ain't it, let it rock. But with that being said, we're on to our, final segment, a main segment, right? So let's get into this. So listen, when we're talking about happiness, right? We usually have that when it comes to your mind, the thought is if it's surrounding women and children. We rarely think about men as happy. Sometimes at the best we can think of as is content, that your life is along the right paths and you feel content. You feel as if you made the right decisions and that the rest of the people around you will be better for your actions, for your intervention, for you have gone this way on this planet, in this universe. We don't really associate happiness with men. We should. It should be one of those things from women's game that we adopt, we internalize, and we say, I need to be like this. I need to start doing the things that may actually make me happy. We know as men, we will live in a one bedroom. We will live in a studio. We'll live in a box outside. If it's just up to us, we'll live in a cave, right? We'll go back there. This is all we feel like we need. That's all that's important for us. We don't need the accoutrements, right? By accoutrements, I mean soap. I mean tissue. We do a lot of these things later on because we get introduced to them. We say, hey, there's been some woman in our lives that said, hey, you should do a little better. You think about the first time you decided, let me go get a massage. Let me go to a spa. Some of these things that are soft, probably a woman introduced them to you. So I've always been a fan of saying there's parts of women's game that we should take, especially how ruthless they could be with their happiness. But when men do it, it's often looked at, hey, there must be something wrong, especially when it comes down to saying something like custody. When men say, I've got to now prioritize my own happiness, because even if I continue this fight, I continue this ongoing fight, this ongoing drama as long as the Iliad, fighting to try to have custody, what am I going to be looked at? A lot of the content now is turned around and said the kids will figure it out later on in life. I don't really subscribe to that. I don't know where they got that idea. I don't think they understood the depths of alienation and brainwashing how it can have. Yes, some turn around and they can see, like, yeah, I can see the inconsistencies. But the small things of telling, yeah, your daddy ain't shit. Maybe you don't say that, but maybe you say your daddy didn't want to be here on the birthday, okay? On Christmas, Thanksgiving, on holidays or days that you deem as important. Yeah, daddy didn't want to be here. They notice the lack. They notice the void. When they go to school and they socialize, they notice that I don't have what this other person has. You notice that. A lot of people don't go turning around and looking and wanting to listen to the story later on. And a lot of men aren't sitting there cataloging what the story is. They're not having, they're not saving souvenirs. They're not sending letters and getting them sent back. They're not sending emails and getting returned to sender and not saving that so the one day that this child will reach out and say, well, here's the body of evidence of the times I've tried to reach out. Most of them sometimes just simply ducking, child support and moving and grooving, vibing and sliding, right? And it's like, I don't care. I'm not trying to do any of this. It's a fantasy. It's an idea that there will be a fairness at the end of the road. When all is said and done, there'll be fairness. People will understand, hey, you tried. And it didn't work out, but you tried. And we can honor that. We can accept that. We understand that despite everything that was up against you, you tried, and we can honor that. No, that's not really how it works. That alienation becomes a permanent thing. That alienation becomes problematic. That just becomes what's happening. We like to pretend like it's fair, like it'll work out. But the reality is some men are really just at the point where they're giving up. They realize it's difficult and they realize I don't got what it takes. I've been doing it for so long, I can't do it any longer.
I want to say this is going to be something hard to say. As I told everybody earlier, I sent a wellness check on my children today. And they're good. And once I found out they was good, I went and bought some clothes to bring to them. And I knocked on the door and I heard the mother of my children looking out the peephole, telling my children to go in the room. And I got to a point where I was banging on the door. Hours later, I get a call from her, and it said, I don't give a f***. But I want to say, I'm done fighting. I'm done. I'm done. You win. Just make sure my children is good. Here we go. Why am I afraid? I shouldn't have to be afraid to try to see my babies. Here we go. I hear my daughters. I hear them. I hear my babies. I hear my babies. I hear them.
Now, to be fair, we understand that how difficult and arduous it can be trying to co-parent with someone that has no intention of co-parenting with you. Someone that doesn't look at the child as something that should be nurtured or something that should be taken care of. They look at it as sort of a plaything. They look at it as a as a way to ensure I still have a foothold in your life. This is when things get unnecessarily complicated, unfairly complicated. And this, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge how many men simply don't seem to try. We understand that the court system is biased. We understand that the court system is run against them. But when you talk to a lot of lawyers, a lot of what men are guilty of is a lot of ignorance. You paid ignorance tax for not being willing to learn what you need to know. One of the things, or the most preemptive thing, is that they don't file first. They don't file for custody first, right? I think there was the lead attorney said one of the things that he sees when he's talking to men is you have this notion, and it's in the common vernacular. That's the mother of my kids. I can't treat her like that. I can't do that. There's no commiserate sort of saying. As a father of my kids, I can't do him like that. Nah, they'll do him dirty. They'll get after it. They'll be preemptive because they're now protecting and prioritizing their happiness. There is a lot of revenge. There is a lot of maliciousness in that. I'm not saying that we should adopt that part. I'm saying that we should adopt the preemptiveness, the vigor, the energy that they take. That to say, no, I only get one shot on this rock. Allegedly, probably. Don't know. But if it is, I'm going to move and shake like it is. We need to be like that. We need to have that understanding. If you are going to make that choice, and I think a lot more men are doing it, in the upcoming generation, that we have to look and say, this is your show. This is your decision. This is what you guys want to do. We have to understand that if you're going to make that choice and not have any type of relation with your child, understand what you're probably dooming and co-signing your child, what type of life you're doing that to. Perhaps that should be a cautionary tale and make it seem like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be engaging in a lot of this behavior in the first place. Maybe I should be backing off and saying, maybe I shouldn't be shooting the club up and enjoying myself that much. If I have no intention, or I know she is of middling sort of character, maybe that's not what I should be doing. You can't see yourself raising a child with her. Maybe you shouldn't be having sex with her. Right? Maybe that idea maybe starts adhering for quality and makes sure that everyone is kind of on the up and up. I like that idea. I like how that sort of presupposes the issue. But it's a thought. It's a thought. But I think that the rise of men saying, I'm not going to fight you forever. Right? And as we alluded to in the very beginning, the idea that you have to fight for custody is one where men don't understand that. Men look at that as a zero sum. They see that as a loss. Why am I fighting you to see my child? Why am I fighting you to spend time with someone who we both should know would benefit both our influence? Why are we fighting at every type of custody exchange? Why are we fighting when we have to go to court? Why is it a fight? Is it a break? Is it a branch off the struggle love that we've known and accepted that this is what our lives are about? Is this what the limit of our understanding of love in our community as we so know it? Or simply, do we need to, go the other route, change the laws, make them more equitable like Kentucky did, 50-50, right? Right down the middle, 50-50. Whether or not he's 50-50 until you prove that there's a danger to the child. We don't know. Some men are not interested. Some men think that the kid is better off with the mom and I'm going to go out and do my own thing. Their own thing tends to amount to not much things. This is a quality issue where people should be pay more attention to the father of the child. There's a multitude of ways of attacking this. One of the new wrinkles is men just saying, you got it. You're going to fight me tooth and nail and use that to have more control of my life. You got it. I'll try to catch the kid on the back end when the kid is an adult. It's a heavy conversation. It's a heavy topic to sort of try to find the nuanced sort of thought on it. And someone that's not a parent that does have it, that this is just something I can bring forth rather than say I can give my informed opinion on. All I can do is show like, hey, this is what we're saying. That's a conversation that people here, would have a better chance of deciding what it is. But as is a Wednesday, I don't want to keep you guys up too late because we do have life and work and such. We'll try to do another stream probably Sunday. I think we got some pretty decent results on Sunday. And I'll try to give you guys advance notice for those people that do like to support and show up. I'll see you guys in the next one.